What do you think is the key to happiness? Is it having lots of money? Is it achieving career success or having a corner office? Is it having supportive and loving relationships with family and friends? How we define happiness is ultimately up to each one of us. How I define happiness is going to be different than the way you define happiness. But studies have shown that there are a few key things that contribute to overall happiness and life satisfaction. So today, let's take a look at some habits that are reported by those who share that they are very happy with their lives. Hi, if we've not met before, I'm Shelley from Taming Frenzy. As humans, we're a pretty resilient species. We're capable of surviving tragedy and catastrophe and coming out stronger on the other side. And while it's true that there are things in life that we do not have control over, we need to remember that saying, just because you don't control everything doesn't mean you don't control anything. I wish I remembered where I read that, but I don't, so my bad. Some of the things that we do have control of are our daily habits, at least once we make them habits, that is. One very important habit is to make sure that you are living with integrity. One of the first things we can do to increase our happiness is to get very clear on our values and on our priorities in life. Doing this gives us a roadmap to follow when we need to make a decision or when we need to plot a course. It helps us make choices when there are many options available to us, and it can serve as a guide in all of our daily actions. When we live with integrity, there's an inner sense of peace and calm that comes from that. Even though life and situations can be chaotic, knowing that our behavior is guided by an internal compass helps us deal with the craziness that comes our way. Living in integrity allows us to avoid some of those negative emotions, such as guilt or shame, that tend to arise when we know we have acted in a way that we're not proud of. Another habit of people who report being very happy is to start each day with intention. Now, living a happy life requires intentionality. Very few of us get someplace great just by accident alone. So instead of coasting along willy-nilly through our days, it's better to have a plan. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to have every minute of every day mapped out with exactly what you're going to do. Because let's be honest, we all know that won't work because life gets in the way, right? And we all need some white space built into our days, some time that's unscheduled so that we can deal with the interruptions and the distractions and the things that come along that are unexpected and unplanned. But having an idea of what you want to accomplish each day is helpful because it allows you to move forward in a positive direction. Your plan may be as simple as get the laundry done and put away today. But if you're in a different season, your plan might be much more detailed and more complicated. It simply depends on where you are and what your goal is, but you still start your day with intention. Third, and this one is important, make up your mind to be happy. Abraham Lincoln is credited with that quote, "Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be." And I've noticed that this is very true in the observations I've made of other people around me. You have probably known people who remain positive and upbeat and cheerful even when life throws bad stuff at them, right? You may have wondered how one person can face adversity and hardship and difficult times and yet remain positive and uplifting and upbeat, while another person just ends up being cynical and jaded and tough to be around. I think it all boils down to a decision. Decide that life is more good than bad. Decide that most people are doing the best they can and that most people are not plotting and out to get you. Recognize that everyone around you has problems and that life did not single you out simply to torment you. And admit that while things can be tough, there are better days ahead. A fourth habit, and one I've talked about before, is developing that attitude of gratitude. Now let's just be honest with ourselves for a minute. Nobody's life is free from problems. No one's life is all flowers and rainbows and lily pads. But it always helps, no matter what's going on in your life, to remember that things are going to get better. It's also important to focus on the things that are going well. And I have noticed a very definite change in my own life by focusing on the things that I'm grateful for. There's an old song that part of the chorus is, "I fall asleep counting my blessings." And this is something that I do every night before I fall asleep. You can call it prayer or meditation or whatever you like. But it's the time of day when I get quiet and still, and I spend some time reflecting on the things that are good in my life and thanking God for those blessings that I have, even when things are tough. I literally go through a list of things that I'm thankful for. It may be something little that happened during the day, such as a nice thing someone did or something someone said. It may be acknowledging an ongoing role that someone plays in your life. It may be as simple as admitting the relief you feel when something didn't go as badly as you thought it could have. For example, when I have a CAT scan and the results come back and show that my cancer is not growing, I am grateful and I'm thankful for that test result. And if you don't believe in God, that's up to you. The simple act of reminding yourself of all the things that you have to be grateful for putting those thoughts out in the universe, has a positive effect on our well-being. Another habit is taking time to take care of your personal needs. Now, I know as women, most of us have been trained to put everybody else first and put ourselves last if we even make it on the list, right? And if we don't get on the list, which frequently happens, well, we're just supposed to accept that that's the way it goes. Getting to the point where you realize that you do have needs that have to come before some things that you do for other people can be life-changing. And that's probably because it's so different than what we were taught when we were growing up and what we saw modeled for us. But you have the right to take the time that you need to take care of yourself, whether it's through exercise, meal preparation, some scheduled downtime or relaxation. The things that we do to care for ourselves ultimately is what allows us to be able to take care of other people. You know, there's a reason the flight attendants on an airplane tell parents to put their oxygen masks on before they put the oxygen mask on their children. After all, if you're incapacitated, you're not going to be any help to anybody. By the way, if you're finding this information helpful, I would ask that you take a minute to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified when new videos come out. Moving on, another habit that's important is to make time for your own personal growth. Life is a journey and we are not meant to remain stagnant. If you take the example of a plant is always doing one of two things. It's either growing or it's dying. One or the other. Taking time to engage in personal growth activities helps us to learn. It helps us to change. It helps us to become wiser. It helps us become more aware of ourselves and of the world around us. It helps us recognize and appreciate different points of view. It helps us become more tolerant of other people. It helps us recognize that through our own growth, we can help facilitate the growth of others as well. And perhaps most importantly, it helps us realize that as long as we are alive and breathing, there are opportunities for change. Living things are meant to grow, and we are no exception. Another good habit is to let go of the past. We need to channel our inner Elsa and just sing out, "Let it go." Have you ever noticed how many people around you are alive today, but are really living in the past? And unfortunately, when we're living in the past, that means that we are generally reliving old bad experiences. We're thinking about mistakes we made. We're thinking about stupid things that we said and did. Talk about a recipe for being unhappy. But here's the thing that I've learned about the past, and that's this. Most of us did the best we could at the time. Did we make mistakes? Most likely. I know I sure did. But we need to remember that in the past, we were learning. Could we have done things differently? Maybe. Maybe not. But does dwelling on the past now make things any better in the present? It depends. If we examine the past and look for and then learn from the lessons of our mistakes, maybe that's a helpful exercise to go through every now and then. If we take it upon ourselves to apply the lessons of the past, then we can apply those now and live a happier future. The purpose of the past simply is to learn from your mistakes, to figure out why you made them, and then commit to doing better in the future, and then simply move forward and then let that go. But if we simply use past mistakes and situations as excuses and justifications, then revisiting the past is not going to be helpful, and it's certainly not going to make us happier. And finally, happy people have strong connections with other people. You've probably heard that story that no one on their deathbed ever said to those around them, "I wish I'd spent more time at work." And that's because of a couple of truth bombs I'm fixing to lay on you about work. First, while you may love your work cannot love you back. Second, at work, you are replaceable. Now, Whether we want to admit that or not, that is very true. The minute you announce that you're leaving, that you're quitting, that you're retiring, that you're leaving, whatever the reason be, I guarantee you they are looking for someone to fill your spot. You are replaceable at work. And once you've been gone for a little bit, those people that you thought were so important and that you were friends with and all those things, all those work relationships, there's a real good chance that they're going to fade. But to the people that care about you, your family and your friends, to those people, you are not replaceable. To the people you care about, you are irreplaceable in their lives. Your presence in their life is essential. And when the time comes, for whatever reason, that you're no longer there, your absence will leave a void that nobody else will ever be able to fill. For these reasons, it's important to keep things in balance and remember that relationships to others are ultimately critical to our happiness. Treat the important people in your life well. Enjoy the time you have with them. Don't take them for granted. Remember that your time together will not last forever. And keep in mind that it is possible to focus on your own needs and growth while also keeping strong connections with those around you. Living a life that is aligned with your values and that is in tune with your priorities while also meeting your personal needs and working towards achieving your goals is a way to achieve happiness in your life. How you choose to spend your time is up to you, but the habits that we've just discussed are some ways that you can increase your overall happiness, your overall life satisfaction, and your general well-being. So is there a happiness or a routine that you'd like to work on implementing today?